What are some red flags in an interview that reveals the job is toxic?
More people need to look interviewers in the eye and ask about turnaround and how many people were fired/laid off. The one company that answered honestly, "I'm still here and we actually did 0 layoffs while our competitors are shedding hundreds of workers."
An interviewer tried to convince me to lowball myself after I said what I'd accept as a minimum salary, which was in their offer range from the posting. "If we pay you more, you wouldn't get a bonus at the end of the year, and you'd be really upset when everyone else got one." What he was able to offer salary-wise was $10,000 below their posted range.
Happened to me while interviewing before my current job. Position was advertised at a certain range. I asked for right in the middle of that range, which I thought was fair since I had about 5 years more experience than the minimum they asked for. I'm officially certified, and it was for a position where I would have to create the entire department around it since it was new due to their growth. They offered the position at the minimum of the range they posted. Well, joke was on them. I interviewed a day before they made the offer with my current company and they offered $8,000 more right out the gate. When I tried to negotiate, the guy would not budge. Made the right choice and 2.5 years later still with my company and got a promotion/huge raise at the 2-year mark.
I declined a job offer once because they tried to sneak in a lowball salary on the offer letter. It was $10,000 less than what we'd discussed in my final interview. When it was obvious that they were really interested in me, I took the risk of negotiating with my existing company to see what I could get. They ended up offering me the more than I discussed with the new company to stay, so I accepted and let the recruiter know that I was no longer interested. The site manager, who was obviously annoyed that I declined, called saying that if it was only about the money, they would pay more. It felt pretty good to tell him no thanks.
I worked for a dude once and I overheard him down the hall talking to a client. The client had said something really nice about how pleasantly I worked the desk, but then my boss countered, saying, "Well, she should be happy, she gets paid more than I do to sit around." Not only did he get 2.5x more than me for the hours worked, but there was so much more. Bro. I single-handedly updated all of your computers, learned how to do x-rays, because you didn't feel like doing them anymore, shoveled when we got shit on by a blizzard, kept the place clean and F***king sanitized every single day, handled every not fun business call with no support, and listened to you abuse your poor sweet wife every day. I left that place as soon as I could. Dude was a sociopath.
One time I applied at a place that had a space on their application for both current salary and what you were looking for. I lied a little bit on my current salary to be 15% higher than what I was actually making, reasoning that even in a worst-case scenario, if they only matched what I was making, I could still walk into a slight raise. When the woman called me to set up the interview, she ran down some quick questions including, "I see you're looking for this amount, and how soon do you think you can start?" At no point did she indicate anything was wrong, and we set up a time for the interview. Day comes, I go in, and she spends like the whole entire time being like, "Oh, that's a lot of money. I think we can do that. I have to make some calls." And kind of trying to get me to not only drop the salary I was looking for, but not so subtly implying that my current salary was too high as well. She then disappeared for a little bit and came back like, "So good news. I called the big boss, and we can get you the fake current salary." Now, it still technically would have been a raise for me, but I immediately said no on the spot and asked her, "Why did you even bother calling me about an interview if you're going to spend the whole time telling me I'm asking for too much money, and that what, as far as she knew, I was already making was too much money? You had both pieces of information on the application up front, and you confirmed what I was looking for when you called to set up the interview. Why on earth would you not just say, 'Well, he's asking for too much money,' and put my application in the bin? Instead, you just wasted your own time that you could have been interviewing someone who meets your demands, and I could have done something else with my day off." Then later that same week, I had another interview somewhere else that gave me exactly what I was looking for with no hassle.
Work for a commercial roofing company. One of our customers is a top 20 Fortune 500 company. Thus we tend to jump and run when they call and say something has gone wrong and they need us on their building 20 minutes ago. For example, summer of 2021, one of their buildings nearly took a direct hit by a tornado. Sunday morning I got a phone call and ran out the door to go to that building. Within 30 minutes of me showing up on site, 2 of our cranes were on site along with 30 employees to get their roof patched up for them. Now we all were paid double time due to it being a last minute, oh no we need guys now, type of situation. My point being that being flexible with hours isn't always the employer fucking the employees.
Absolutely true. Working from home for various reasons right now. Was supposed to be phone customer service, and I was told that sales were part of the job, but more just processing them, and there were no sales numbers to hit. 6 months in, my bi-monthly review is all about sales numbers and how I can bring them up, even though I am above the company average for my position. I honestly hate it. I like the customers, for the most part, but I just find it hard to upsell some older fixed-income retiree into buying a 3-hour open bar package. They for sure don't need it, and it feels exploitative. They usually like me, and I feel like I am betraying them by pushing for it. If I don't though, I get fired. Makes me feel like total shit.
I remember it was kind of a breath of fresh air when I took my current job's interview. They said bluntly, most people get turned off by the idea of a 9 to 5 nowadays, but that unfortunately is exactly what this is. You can make it 8 to 4 if you want, but none of us really want to get up that early if we don't have to, and you're also in that boat. Turned out to be an awesome job. Very laid back and realistic. Everyone is just trying to make sure that everyone else goes home on time. Sometimes we end up staying an hour late at most, but it never feels like a chore, mostly because I know I could have left on time and no one would have said anything about it. I'm just doing it to help my team. They really are just friends at this point.
That really is awesome. I remember I lost my last job after I was out for a week with COVID. They didn't directly say they fired me for that, but it was pretty easy to tell. The only explanation they gave was my call-outs didn't give enough notice. They held a whole Zoom meeting with corporate and everything, made a whole event out of firing me. Last week when I was sick, I was still too new to have any sick time. I asked my supervisor if I should be concerned because I knew I couldn't come in but also didn't want to get written up or anything. He basically told me we got by for like 5 years without your position here, we can manage a few days while you get better. Encouraged me not to worry about it and get a doctor's note if it was more than 3 days.